I didn't intend to fall in love with her in this way. Or in a way that made my chest tighten every time she laughed at something that only I understood. But not in a way that made me gag each time she took off her top in public. Of me as if it had no significance. And particularly not in the manner that kept me up at night while I lay next to her in the dark, with only an inch of bedding separating us. And my heart is a sea of uncertainty. Her name is. My best friend Lauren is the one who constantly gets too loud after 2 glasses of wine. The girl who kissed males at gatherings. The girl who danced barefoot on the pavement following a storm. And, later, at 3 in the morning, crept into my bed, smelling of regret and tequila. She is also the girl who whispers my name. I've patiently and quietly loved her for years. But she keeps it a secret that she doesn't want to know. Desolately. And each time she gets into my bed, she wraps her body around me as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I swear that tonight is one of those nights when I forget how to breathe. The only sounds coming from my dorm room are the ceiling fan's hum and the odd rustle of linens. A desk piled high with textbooks, coffee mugs, and posters that are gradually peeling off the walls, yet it always feels warmer and fuller with her around. Unsafe. Removing her hoodie before asking, "You're not going to make me sleep on that terrible couch, are you?" Her tank top rides up just enough to reveal a small portion of her midriff. As if she owns the area. And I have to remind myself not to observe, gaze, or recall how her skin felt softer the night she went to sleep. "You know you never do," I murmur as she places her hand beneath my shirt, attempting to concentrate on my phone's screen despite the fact that She smiles and throws her sweater onto my chair after reading the same passage 5 times. "I would marry you if you were the greatest, Nat," before slipping into my bed like she has done 100 times before. Had a dick, but she finds it amusing and doesn't split me in two. Smiling. If you liked this material and would like to show your support for the channel, please click the "Thank you" button below. You can directly contribute to the channel by using the one with the $sign and heart icon with amazing thanks. It enables me to continue making fantastic films for you. Yet it doesn't get to my eyes. Thank you. That's adorable that she doesn't hear how tight my voice is. Or perhaps she does. And acts as though she doesn't. Lauren's characteristic is that she's constantly dancing on as she moves beneath the covers. The edge of something she won't identify brushes my arm with her fingers. But it's nothing. Always nothing. But it feels like everything to me because you're so cozy. She whispers. She is already half asleep. Her body snuggled into mine like puzzle pieces. And her breath is gentle against my neck. We're always supposed to fit. Yet I'm still terrified to move or breathe. In case she hears my heartbeat yelling her name. I tell her not to listen. I choose not to assume that this is the only way she is touching and affectionate. Flirtatious in that reckless, enraged manner that makes me want to give her a quick kiss and shake her. But she does it She always does this when she believes I'm sleeping. Her fingers barely brush my skin as they creep under the hem of my shirt. Her lips brush over my shoulder feather just enough to chill me. Light a kiss with her. Maybe nothing. I'm not sure anymore. She whispers. You're so soft. And I can't tell if she's intentionally breaking me, teasing me, or dreaming. My breath catches. I want to turn back and confront her, asking her what this signifies and who we are. She wants something from me. But I never give it to her, fear she could laugh or, even worse, she might be honest, and I doubt I'll be able to live either. Instead, I shut my eyes, act like I'm asleep, and make it seem like her hand isn't resting above my hip, like if my heart weren't shattering in the morning. She always gets up first, stretches, yawns, and acts like she's acting. I'll act as though nothing occurred since it's safer and easier to tell her how I truly feel. I'd rather suffer in silence than take the chance of losing her entirely. Yet, when I wake up from my half-sleep this time and the light starts to filter through the curtains, she's still in she hands her bed, which is still crushed against me as if we were lovers rather than just friends. Her fingers are splayed and possessive, as if she forgot to act as though I don't move, don't breathe, and then she softly says my name. Natalie. And uncertain. Yes. I speak in a whisper that is hardly audible. and she pauses for a long time before thumbing. Does anyone ever consider brushing my skin? Her actions make my heart halt. Voice is hardly audible, but what if we did it just once? I look up, her at last, and her sleep-rimmed eyes are wide and vulnerable. But terribly awake, and I'm not sure if this is intentional. If she's afraid, or if she will forget this moment by morning. But I can't help myself. Lauren. She looks into my eyes and says, "Don't say that unless you mean it." She acknowledges, "I just know." As her eyes soften and heat up, she hesitantly leans in slowly but surely, saying, "I can't stop thinking about you." And her lips briefly touch mine, igniting everything I've been trying to hide for years. As she pulls back, I'm shaking, and she replies, "I'm not gay," almost as if she's attempting to persuade herself. But I feel like I could be the kiss while we're together. Hovers in the atmosphere like smoke. Delicate, unsure, but unavoidable. My lips are still tingling. My heart is still beating. And Lauren is staring at me as if she's afraid of what she's just finished. Or perhaps afraid that she enjoyed it. I should say something and laugh. Tell her that it's okay. That I'm okay. That we're okay. But I'm not fine, and we're not fine. And our relationship has never been straightforward. She pulls the covers up and whispers something that friendship doesn't really convey. I swallowed hard when you kissed her, as though they could protect her from what had just happened. She gently nods at me, her eyes big and vulnerable, and I understand why I don't recognize her. Her voice cracked as she breathed, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. Regarding us, I believed that if I kissed you, you would understand how my heart hurts. And do you know that when she confesses, something inside of me breaks a little, but I don't regret it? Those 4 words struck me like a second kiss and made me realize how deadly you were. I gently remind myself to sit up so I can stop doing this. Lauren, you can't keep scuttling into my bed and stroking me as though I'm yours if there's even a small gap between us. Mean it. Her face contorts with shame. I know it's unfair, she repeats. My voice is shaking now. But you're my best friend, Nat, and I'm at a loss for what to do. Stop acting like this is nothing. You are everything to me. The stillness between us is like a fault line. Then, barely audible, she murmurs. I turn to her heart. Thuhutting. It's not nothing. What's that? It's confusing, she replies, pressing her eyes against my ribs. Mine is terrifying, but it's real, and I believe I'm merely attempting to determine whether. Before I can stop myself, I say, it's worth risking everything, and she blinks, surprised by the assurance in my voice. How do you know that I've loved you since my sophomore year? My words flow like a secret I've been dying to reveal, and when they do, I feel both liberated and afraid. I nod, my voice is no more than a whisper now, and it's been agony. Your eyes widen, hearing you claim that I'm the one who's holding you while you're intoxicated and acting like it doesn't kill me. Most significant person in your life. But Lauren has been silent for a while because she knows you would never love me as much as I love you. For too long, I feel a wave of panic trying to engulf me in my chest. Entire, but then, with trembling fingers, she reaches for my hand beneath the covers. I believe I do love you. She whispers. I've never dated a girl, and I'm not sure how to act that way. I squeeze her hand even though I have no idea what it means to me. Anything at this moment, simply that you sense that I'm not the only one. God, Nat, you're not, she responds hurriedly. I think about you all the time. I spend more time with you than I should. And I feel secure, but also, I remark softly, I feel like I'm on the brink of something I don't understand. And she gives me a look, then looks closely, and her eyes have a genuine, raw quality. What if I explain, because it's the truth, but I can't keep it that way. And we deal with it. I can't continue to be your safe haven if you're never going to let yourself to feel what's genuine between us. Her hand briefly leaves mine, and I fear I've lost her. However, she then gets unbelievably near till our foreheads meet. And I want to try, she adds, feeling her breath on my lips. But I'm not sure what I'm doing, and although I'm afraid, I want to try, please. My love, don't give up on me just yet. Thuds so loudly that I'm not sure whether she can hear it. She leans in more slowly again. She's more certain this time. And the kiss is warmer and deeper. as if she's finally letting her fingers slide into my hair as I draw her in closer, allowing her to feel all she's been scared to mention. When we pull, the weight of years of wanting dissolves between us. The kiss is tentative and clumsy, but it's genuine. She buried her face in my neck and whispered, breathless and shaking. I hold her close, unsure if I'm soothing her, and say, promise me this won't ruin us. If we're being honest, neither she nor I will. She nods against my skin. All right. We lie there for a while, encased in terror and wrapped around one another. And hope, as well as something fresh that neither of us can yet identify. And for the first time in years, I don't feel like I'm pursuing a fantasy in which I think she might be reaching back the next. In the morning, the light from the blinds awakens me up before she does. I observe her with her arm around my waist and her face resting calmly against the pillow. My phone buzzes on the screen while I spend a long time learning the softness of her expression and the contour of her lips. I cautiously go for the nightstand so as not to wake her with a message from Becca. I'm caught between two worlds as the screen lights up. Are you still planning to visit the exhibition tonight? Nat is a responsible, devoted best friend, and I'm the girl who I finally gave the person she's always desired a kiss. And I looked back to see Lauren still sleeping next to me. I'm not sure where we are right now or what will happen next. But I do know that it began yesterday night with a single kiss. One promise, and one. Lauren doesn't say anything when she wakes up, so perhaps that's sufficient. Instead of running away, freaking out, or staring at me with wide eyes and calling last night a mistake, she remains motionless, gazing up at the ceiling with a grimace that pulls at. I don't speak first, but the corner of her mouth seems to be at odds with herself. I just watch her, my chest getting tighter with each touch. And I don't move. She looks away from me for a second. And when she does, her eyes are inscrutable. She whispers gently, "Morning, hey," and I respond, scarcely breathing. As she sits up, she is attempting to construct armor out of cotton by slowly wrapping the sheets around herself. Her hair is untidy. And she is wearing a tank top. My heart hurts because she's twisted and her lips are still pink from the kiss last night. How I wish I could drag her back down and give her another kiss. But I don't. Before continuing, she drapes her legs over the edge of the bed and looks at the floor for a considerable amount of time. I should probably. I nod. Okay, go change. I have class in about 30 minutes. She avoids her quiet speaks louder than any words I can say as she takes her hoodie off the chair and pulls it over her head. Despite everything she said last night, Lauren, I can feel her sliding away once more. She sighs back to me. But don't act like that didn't happen. You don't need to do anything yet. I say, I'm simply not sure what to do. She turns slowly. But you can't act like that didn't mean anything to me. This time, there's something honest and unvarnished in her gaze. But it didn't mean. I just woke up and panicked. And I'm still panicking, she says quietly. All right, I say you can stress out. I just need to know that you won't. She moves back to the bed and stands in front of me, pushing me away once more. I don't want. I just reach for her hand out of fear. And she lets me take it. You don't have. She nods slowly. You just need to be honest with me to have all the answers. I want to hold her and kiss her. But my fingers are getting tighter around mine. Go change. I'll see you later. I also want her to go on her own terms, with her heart intact and her head clear. Later, she murmurs, a tiny smile pulling at her lips. And then she disappears. I fall back into the bed as soon as the door closes behind her, staring at the ceiling and reliving every second of last night, until my mind is racing with hypothetical scenarios. And perhaps she is a finalist. I want to think that she was sincere when she stated that she wanted to try, but that she was also looking for something. Being prepared for it and actually being ready are two very different things. My phone buzzes once more, and I'm still holding out hope. I have a spot reserved for you at the gallery tonight. Becca, sweet and trustworthy. Becca has been in my life for months, lingering on the brink of something that never really began. And she is incredibly patient. She's witty. She appreciates art as much as I do. We've shared 2 kisses, but they didn't work out. Wherever I went since my heart was always with someone else. I told her I would come. And perhaps that's just what I need to do to clear my thoughts and leave the. I email back. I'll be there the day. Lauren and I have been living in this bubble for years. By the time I get there, the gallery is bustling. The walls are covered in abstract paintings that are bursting with color and emotion. The audience is youthful, half art students, half young people dressed in carefully planned disarray. Becca is in the rear with 2 plastic cups of inexpensive wine. And her countenance brightens when she sees me. Tormented souls. You came? Of course I did, I reply, and she smiles softly as she brings me a cup. She smiles and points to the corner. Thanks for saving me a seat. Always, she adds, where a little stage is surrounded by a few folding chairs. And she says, spoken word is starting soon. I try to concentrate on the artwork, the music, and the wine, but my phone is waiting for me in my pocket. When it doesn't buzz, I feel a little colder and more alone. During the performance, Rebecca watches me, her eyes leaning closer as the second poet leaves the stage. She flicks to my face as if she's trying to read something there. Are you all right? I'm lying. I'm just exhausted. Don't pretend with me, Nat. I'm still thinking. But I give her a weary smile. She asks terrible questions about her. And I don't have to respond because she's not going to. Some people don't understand how I look at her. But Rebecca says kindly, without malice, to love you the way you want her to. And she kissed me, and for the first time I feel something twist, not remorse, but understanding. Rebecca's eyes widened last night, but she remained silent and stated she wanted to try. However, she worried this morning, and I'm not sure what to assume at this point. Wait, Becca says, just let her choose you if she wants to, without pressuring her, but protect yourself too, so don't lose. I nod my chest tightly as I imagine myself waiting for someone who may never arrive. Becca advises you to quit violating your vows if you don't want to lose her and become her buddy. Own heart, hoping she'll transform into someone she's not prepared to be. I force myself to swallow the words that are more profound than I'd like to acknowledge. Make Rebecca reach for my hand and gently hold it. You deserve a loving partner. You allowed, and I realize she's correct at that same time. But understanding and emotion are. Later that evening, after doing 2 distinct things, I return to my room by myself and sit on my. I'm browsing through my phone in bed, staring at the blank screen with no calls or messages. Lauren remains silent, which is cruel, and then her name is eventually buzzed. My heart leaps when my screen says, "Hey, can I come over?" and I type back before I can. Well, she's there in my room 10 minutes after the doors open. Once more wearing a hoodie and without makeup. She says, "Hey," as she enters and paces for a. I know I freaked out this morning before I sat on the edge of my bed. I apologize, even if it's not. I say it's okay since I've been thinking about it all day. She goes on, and I don't want to cause you any more pain or be the reason you lose faith in love. She looks at me with wide eyes. And I'm not asking for forever. Lauren, I'm just asking for something genuine. Both optimism and terror. But let's face it, what does that actually mean? It means I want to give it a shot. She reiterates the need to be firmer this time. Not just in bed but also when it's dirty, challenging, frightening, and dark. I want to give it a shot. I ask gently, is it good? And she smiles, her eyes welling with tears. And then, as if she's finally grasped, she crosses the distance between us and gives me a sincere kiss. Selecting me because her heart finally wanted to. Not because she was confused or afraid. The kiss is different this time. It's not hesitant or a query. As I've been shouting all along. Lauren gives me a kiss as if she's already decided. As if this precise instant her hands were in was the result of a second of denial and distance. Locate my waist, jaw, and hair, drawing me in with a sense of urgency. I used to wake up hurting from this. Which isn't a dream, because I only felt her in nightmares. She tastes like nervousness and hope. And she's warm, genuine, and shaking in my arms. And her heart pounding through her chest against mine is palpable. We kiss till the air runs out till she slightly retreats so that her forehead touches mine. I don't know what I'm doing. She whispers, her eyes fluttering shut, her breath weak and irregular. But I know I want you. I give her another kiss. This time softer. Because that's all I've ever needed to hear. Promise. And I help her as her hands go tentatively and slowly under the hem of my shirt. Allowing her to control the pace without any pressure makes every inch of her exploration feel like uncharted terrain. Somewhere she never imagined. Her fingers are chilly, and her skin is burning. Is this okay? She asks. Yes, she says against my throat, and I close my eyes as her mouth discovers my neck's curvature and asks, Are you sure? Again? Yanking back just. You can stop me anytime. I don't want you to stop. I said, enough for you to look at me. I've wanted this for so long that I can't even recall what it's like to not want it. I explain in an emotional voice. Something changes in her eyes, followed by pain, an apology, and possibly even awe. Gives me another kiss as if to make up for the times she left me in suspense after creeping into my bed and acted as though she had no idea what she was doing to me. We collided slowly and awkwardly. Like two persons. There is nothing flawless about learning a new language with their hands and mouths. It's messy, emotional, and frightening. But it's also everything when she curls up against my side. Her breath is steady and warm on my shoulder as I caress her hair and feel her body becomes softer every second, as if she's finally allowing herself to remain motionless. After a while, she continues, I feel like I'm going to explode. With a little, why? In her voice because that was the most genuine thing I've ever experienced. And you're still you even if I don't know who I am at the moment. She nods when I remark softly, You're just letting yourself be more. But I can tell. The anxiety in her bones. Wondering if it will endure or if I will lose it again and destroy. We're not writing our future. I remark. And we take things one day at a time. We're merely acknowledging that there might be one tonight. She laughs shakily. I've had a lot of love. And you're too excellent at it. My chest tightens. She raises her head to practice. Then her eyes get serious. I don't deserve you, she says. Say that you're trying, since that's all I ever wanted. And we'll go to bed together. Around one another. And I don't wake up feeling that hollow ache in my chest as I had in years. But the world doesn't end because we experienced a single ideal night. Reality returns and quickly the next morning, she gets out of bed early, gives me a gentle forehead kiss, and I wait as she whispers that she will text me later. But she doesn't do so right away. Hours 2 and 3. I keep checking my phone. And each time, my chest gets tighter. Did she decide to change her mind after the minute passed? Or is she already regretting it? I'm whirling by the time I'm walking to class. Pretending that last night didn't happen the way she always did. She needs time to process. So I try to remind myself to be patient. Has never been easy with a heart this loud. And then I spot her seated under a tree across the quad. Pals giggling like if nothing has changed. As if I'm still sitting here waiting for her taste on my lips. I feel like a ghost. And my chest burns when she doesn't even look at me. Perhaps I was mistaken to believe she was ready. And I let the pain to show on my face as I walked by them. I'm halfway to my dorm when my phone finally buzzes. And I believe in something that only existed in the dark. We chat, and as I type back, my fingers shake and I stop walking. When your room, I hardly recall the way back. And when she gets there, she appears to. Her hands are wringing, her hoodie is too big, and her eyes are red from not sleeping. I say softly, hey, and she responds, hey, as if she's trying to extract the truth from herself. She pauses and says, last night was real. She doesn't sit or move. I woke up expecting to feel different. But I didn't, and I still want you. It was so real that it scared the living daylights out of me. Her voice cracks as she replies. Maybe more than why didn't you because I didn't know how to look at you in daylight. I've spent a lot of time creating this version of myself that is completely regular. However, when we're together, none of it matters, and I feel everything. I'm not sure how to handle it. And you don't. Must have all the answers. I say quietly, but don't ignore me as she goes slowly in my direction, as if she's worried that if she moves, she'll destroy something. I don't know who I am. But I'm not going to pretend anymore, she says. I let out a big breath of relief, knowing that I want to work it out with you. When she reaches for me, she makes my knees weak. which is all I've ever desired. She continues, I was afraid that if I kissed you I'd lose myself. As if a circuit had finally been completed when our fingers touched. But what if this is me? What if you're part of who I've always been? I have no idea. I simply take her in my arms and give her a slow, passionate kiss in response to her remarks. Yes, since she's finally here and genuine. And I'm done acting like. It feels different around Lauren in the daytime. Not because she withdraws or acts fake, but rather because she doesn't. Over the next few days, there is a tiny but noticeable change. And she doesn't recoil when our hands meet in the dining room. She texts me right away. When no one else is there. She even gives me a kiss outside beneath the old oak tree that shades our dormitory. My heart still trembles when someone kisses me quickly and impulsively, as if it were the first time. I can tell that she's trying. But underneath that, I sense the storm that's simmering within her every gentle grin and long look whenever she makes me feel as though she's still in awe at how wonderful it feels. But she's also afraid of what this means for her. She stays away from the word relationship, but she still introduces what it will mean to everyone else. We don't discuss labels. Every time we pass someone she knows when I slide into bed next to her at night. As her best friend, there's always a rhythm of quiet as if she's debating whether or not to let this to happen again. But when she does, she kisses. When her hands go over me as if she's remembering everything she's denied. I can feel that slow burn behind her eyes. Herself for so long that it feels so genuine that it frightens me on Friday nights as well. She extends an invitation for me to remain in her dorm. I'm not aware that this will be the first time we sleep in her bed rather than mine. Until I'm standing in her doorway, holding my breath as she shuts it behind me. How much does that mean? Observing her fumble with the sleeve of her hoodie. She says, I'm just nervous. I've never had a girl in my space like this before. I gently tease her. And she winces. Her chamber smells like coconut. And she grins, which silences me. Her bed is draped in throws and more cluttered than mine, with lotion and washing detergent. When she's at my house, she sits on cushions and one of those ridiculously fluffy blankets that she always manages to grab. Standing slowly on the edge of the mattress, staring up at me as if she's waiting for me to give her the all clear to breathe. You're free to desire this, Lauren. She nods and rests her head between her legs as I brush my fingers through her hair. I lean her chin into my stomach and wrap my arms around my waist. I swear to God that I do. Kiss her gently at first, then more slowly and deeply till I can feel her melting into. We tangle together as if we've been doing it for ages as she drags me down into the bed. Her touches are. She's braver now and less scared, learning my body as if she's finally committing to herself. Permission to crave it, and when she first mutters my name, it's low and breathless against my lips. As we walk, I break and rebuild as if we've been putting this off for years because we haven't. She looks at me as though she's tangled in sheets and flesh and taking gentle breaths after we collapse in each other's arms. She whispers, drawing languid circles with her fingertips on my skin. And I stop asking because I never realized it could feel like this. I kissed her temple because you deserve all of that and more. Hip what Safe wanted. Do you believe this might be real? She leans in close to me. Her voice barely audible. She has already been silent for a while. But what if others discover what she is doing? Let them know that my parents aren't here so they won't be upset if they do. She tightens the blanket around us to determine who makes you happy. So I press my forehead against hers because I don't want to lose anything. Anything you're ultimately selecting. And she corrects you on that. We spend the night curled together under her covers, with her leg and head nestled beneath my chin, wrapped around mine as if she didn't want a single inch to separate us. And her skin was still warm in the silence of her room. Against my and her steady, gentle breath, I allowed myself to think that we were finally making progress. But life doesn't pause only because we're working things out. On Monday, everything changes once more. It's a dumb photo. Lauren and I were seated in the back of the coffee shop when someone posted a hazy selfie on their story. The couch, her hand casually resting on my knee as we laughed over a shared muffin. Didn't believe anyone would notice that we were being observed. But by midday, I knew that someone had. Because I hear someone murmur the word, gay, behind me. And 3 separate people in the corridor give me strange looks. I know it's poisoning my back since there's a snapshot of the picture in a group conversation when I open my phone. Since I didn't request to be added. Lauren is a lesbian. Which clarifies a lot. My stomach lowers when I realize that Natalie has finally gotten what she wants. I freeze in the. My heart is racing in the middle of the corridor. And I'm fighting the need to cry. We need to talk. So I text Lauren. She doesn't answer. So I call it 4. I text Lauren again. But it goes to voicemail. Please. Nothing. I spend the remaining time. Day in a daze. Slithering around classrooms while ignoring everyone in an effort to hide my face in fear. Eventually arrives at my door that evening. I can see that her eyes are red and her face is pallid. Before I can even say anything, she continues, I saw the messages. Why didn't you answer? Me because they're saying stuff that made me freak out. And I know I did too. She recoils as they say, we're what together? I'm not sure how to respond. When it was just the 2 of us. It was simpler for me to ask I didn't mean it that way. So how did you mean it when the words came out more sharply than I intended and her eyes welled up with tears? I take a step closer. But I won't be your victim because I'm afraid to. I've loved you for too long to keep you a secret. And I'm not embarrassed of you. Show me, she says, at me as though she were perched on a massive, terrible, permanent object. And the part of her that wants to flee and the part that ultimately wants to stay are both visible in her eyes. And I'm not. I'm ready, she murmurs, then looks down and says, tell me what you're ready for. Please don't push me away so that we may be ourselves. Even in silence, so that I don't lose you. My heart aches a little. But I nod because I understand because I know her because I'll give her the time she requires if this is what it takes for her to continue picking me. But not. I keep saying no, but she says she will wait till I have the courage like you. And then I can tell she means it when she kisses me. But the days that follow make me feel as like I'm holding my breath underwater. Lauren keeps her promise in the sense that she still texts me good morning and gives me a kiss when we're by ourselves. She also continues to murmur wonderful, aching words, things into my neck while we are entangled in the dark. Yet she avoids me in public and we stroll side by side. We sit at the same table in the dining hall. But we never touch. She stares down at her plate more than at me. And she completely stops talking as if she's lost her mind when someone else joins us. Change and transform into the safe, heterosexual version of herself. I remind myself to exercise patience and that progress is not always made without worrying because she has never had to deal with this before. Yet breathing becomes more difficult the longer it lasts. She comes over one night, and the more I struggle to convince myself that I'm not just another secret waiting to be buried, the harder it gets. After a party, her lips are rosy from too much wine. Her mascara is smudged, and she leans in and says, God, I missed you. As soon as I open the door, she has been putting her arms about me as if we don't exist outside of my covers for the past 5 days. She realizes what's wrong, so I draw away while still holding her and not kissing her. Lauren's smile wavers as she says, I don't want to be the person you hide behind closed doors anymore. Yes, we have discussed this. You mentioned that you needed time. Therefore I gave it to you. Time. But I'm just now beginning to feel like your little haven. As if I'm only worthy when you're lonely or intoxicated. Or afraid that she blinks as if I hit her. Which is unfair, isn't it? I ask softly. When we're alone, you tell me how much you desire me. But in the daytime, you refuse to even look at me because people tell them I can't understand what it's like. And then go on to explain. I'm not sure how she raises her voice. And I'm not sure what I'm doing. Before you and now my entire universe. Nat, I had never dated a girl and had never ever considered dating one. Feels completely upside down, and I'm afraid of what will happen if I reveal who we are to the public. She looks at me without speaking, and her quiet speaks more than any response. She says to take a step back and not make this some sort of I'm trying. You're trying when it's convenient. You're trying when you're lonely. But you're not trying when things go tough. I need you to be at my side rather than acting like we're just buddies. Lauren, You don't have to be flawless. I'm not sure how to be what you need. You simply need to tell me the truth about yourself because she has been silent for a while. Do you think I'm broken? She asks in a whisper. And the phrase makes me gasp. No, God, no, I think I'm afraid. Because I believe you've been acting like one thing for so long that the thought of being someone else feels frightening. She nods. You're not broken. You're just unfinished, she says, sliding off a precipice. Tears are gently streaming down her cheeks. I apologize for making you feel invisible. Desire to be your embarrassment. But you're not. You're the only aspect of my life that seems genuine at the moment. Her voice is hardly audible. And she approaches me once more and reaches for me. But I allow it since I still love her. I still have faith in the girl who hugged me and murmured. What if we tried it just for a chance, despite how difficult this is? Once, however, I feel exhausted and something inside of me is beginning to bruise. We try again the next day. And she holds my hand beneath the table She kisses my cheek as she exits my tiny room in the cafe when no one is looking. Private information that is still concealed. And then we're leaving One evening in the library. She was laughing at something foolish that caused her eyes to wrinkle and her fingers to slide into mine without giving it any thought. And at that moment, we saw Jason, her ex, standing by He notices us and our hands while Fountain converses with a group of people from her dorm. Notices how she's bending toward me. And his expression shifts. And his smirk disappears. He says. She drops my hand as if it were burning her after saying something to the man next to him. And they both glance over. She doesn't look at me because I'm burning her and my chest hurts so badly right now. Ignores me and simply keeps walking while I follow her back to her dorm. She doesn't say anything until we're inside. And then she hastily apologizes. Saying that it was only him. The stillness between us is oppressive. You drop my hand as if I were something to be ashamed of. Even though I didn't mean to. And I frightened as you gave me a strange look. Was there something hardening in my chest as I stared at her? I can't do this any longer. Please don't do this, Lauren. I can't continue to be your solace in the dark and your ghost in the light. What do you do? She moves forward with tears in her eyes. Asking me to do something. She is patient and doesn't give up on me. And I ask, when will I be loved out? When will I be able to stop hurting? Loud. She doesn't respond. There is just quiet and tears. I nod slowly, my heart aching. Piece by piece. I believe you might need to discover who you are without me for a short while. Please, Nat, know that I adore you. I say, and this is the first time I've stated it aloud without hesitation or shame. However, I can no longer love you in silence. So I leave before she can say anything more. For the first time, I don't feel like I'm looking back. And I don't allow myself to. I feel like I'm saving myself throughout the first week without her. But I'm breaking apart. Everything in my schedule, including courses, meals, and people chatting to me, is still moving slowly, like bleeding out. Nothing has changed, but I'm navigating it like a ghost. I don't read or respond to her messages. But I'm sorry. Please talk to me so we can resolve this. I miss you. Please check the notifications. I try to be tough and remind myself why I left you. But I'm lost without you. Since I couldn't continue to survive on almost a late night, I needed to breathe in order to matter. Touches that in the morning were accompanied by guilt. But each night I snuggle up in bed and gaze at the area where she used to lie. I reach for my phone every morning with a hunger I despise because I miss her. God, I miss the silly little things that she always did. Like her mouth, her hands, or her voice whispering my name in the dark. She would hum while brushing her teeth, make fun of my playlist, and steal the last bite of my muffin. The hardest part is that I still want her, even though she was with me when no one else was around. When she sits on the stairs outside the library, I can see her across campus. She is by herself, pulling the sleeves of her hoodie over her hands and cradling her knees to her chest. And my chest tightens when she wears the worn gray one I left in her room, which has a paint stain on the cuff. Glances up, and for a moment, neither of us moves as our eyes contact. Then she stands like she might approach, but I turn away and go in the opposite direction because it's easier that way. Or at least that's how it's meant to be. However, when Friday rolls around and I'm sitting by myself in my dorm room once more, it hits me like a wave how empty this seems. I'm curious to know if she's drinking, sobbing, or both. If so, there's a knock on the door makes my heart race. But then it comes again, softer and slower. When I open it, she appears to be without makeup, with untidy hair and red eyes. Has not slept and is holding my hoodie, which she wore that day at the library. Hey, she says. Hey, I say in a voice that is almost audible above a whisper. Can I come in? I'm stiff and uncertain. I'm sorry, she says as she gently enters and places the hoodie on my bed as if it signifies something. Maybe it does. I remain silent as she replies. You already said that, I know, but I mean it more now. I've been thinking a lot about myself as she sits on the edge of the bed with her hands in her lap. I believed that I needed time to sort myself out, but that only let me understand that I was already afraid. I turn to her and say, I'm in love with you, and the words come out like, don't say it, thunder, until you mean it. I've been meaning it for a while. I couldn't remember what to call it at the time. But it was always you when her voice broke. Even when I was with other people. Nat, it was always you. Even when I told. I wasn't like that myself. The only thing that seemed genuine in my heart was you. Hammering. But I don't say anything. She gets up and moves closer. I let go of your hand. I panicked when I saw Jason that day. But what I ought to have done was hold on closer. I should have kissed you there. In front of everyone. Even if her hands were shaking. I know I damaged you. But you don't deserve another opportunity. And I'll fight for it if you still have a part of you. I'll fight for us. I briefly close my eyes and let myself to experience everything. Suffering, longing, and the many nights I hoped she would say this. And now she is crying when I look up as I take a slow step toward her. I love you, I say. She nods as she says. But I need to know you'll love me when it's hard, not just when it's safe. The words sticking in my throat. I swear I'm done hiding. I want to be yours out loud, then show me. Her hands shake as she pulls out her phone. Her eyes widening as she taps and scrolls through Instagram before turning the screen to me and showing me a picture of the two of us. She must have taken one when I wasn't looking at her shoulder. Since she put her arm around me and we both smiled like though we already belong together. The caption includes more than just my best friend. It includes all that I own. She catches her breath and declares, no more hiding. Putting her phone down, I approach her gently because I want everyone to know that I am yours and I have no more secrets. Saying, I'm yours, again while holding her face in my hands. I give her a passionate kiss. This time, it's not about our deep-seated certainty that we will tumble into each other with a desperation that has been building for too long. Fear is about taking ownership of her mouth movements. Not about hiding. Her hands slipping under my shirt and her body pressing against mine like if we've been hungry. They have both been waiting to catch fire. I pull her down onto the bed with me. And every doubt disappears. She's here. She's real. And I thought we wouldn't make it through every tear. And she is mine when we lie together. Exhausted. Entangled in sheets. The heat. And everything we battled. She turns to face me and murmurs. I told my mom. I blink. What? When I called her this morning. I told her about you and how my heart is racing. She sobbed and stated. I swallowed it because she loved me. She runs her fingertips down my arm. And I can feel the emotion in my throat. I shake my head because you made me feel bold. You were always brave. You simply didn't realize it. I know it. Yet she still gives me a gentle, lingering shoulder kiss. And we lie there for hours of chatting. Joking, and touching everything that we were before prohibited from doing, and for the first time. There's no weight, no guilt, no fear, we're just being honest. Speaking aloud, there's a difference in kissing her now. Not because the feeling has altered or because of her. Her hands are less inquisitive or her lips are softer. But because for the first time I can tell that she won't vanish in the morning because she isn't questioning how she looks when I gaze into her eyes. She's here, selected and her body melts into mine. We don't leave my chamber for. She spends hours lying next to me wearing only one of my baggy t-shirts. Her skin, her hair is untidy, Her smile is lethargic, and our bodies are twisted together, making my chest feel terrible. It's too tiny to contain the joy that threatens to explode inside of me as she lightly runs her fingers over my ribs. And making fun of her. And I'm fascinated by how she's now letting to gaze at me guilt-free. You always looked at me like this, she whispers. What do I ask, as I touch her hair away from her face as if I were a magician. You are, I respond, and she smiles before leaning forward and gives me a slow, gentle shoulder kiss. No one has ever made me feel that way. I grasp her hand and she says, dressed, as if I matter just as I am. You do good, safe, and place it against my chest. I know that when her eyes meet mine, they gleam. Genuinely understand that although she still harbors the same fears, they no longer control her. Instead, she is choosing us. Her hand slides under the cover and rests on my hip with each breath and every second. Her fingers move like though she's exploring art rather than charting land. And there's nothing hurried about the way she touches me. She wants to repeat phrases she already knows by heart, and her tongue follows the curvature of my neck. Every time I sigh, her breath catches in the valley between my breasts and my collarbone. Let go of the expression in her eyes as she scales me and balances on my hips. She whispers, I want to learn everything about you. Without hesitation, with reverence. I want to know what makes you. My hands slowly move up her thighs. What causes you to shiver? Why did you utter my name the way you did last night? And strong. Then teach me how. Her smile twists into a lovely, evil smile when she bends too. This time, she kisses me without hesitation, as if it were her own native tongue. Her hands confidently move over my body out of want and she exhales as if the sound alone will undo her. And we move when I arch into her touch. Together, slowly, each moment is prolonged with the kind of patience that can only be produced by years of repressed passion. Stretched between whispered words, breaths, and hands that shake not because of fear but rather because we want to get. It's true that she uses her tongue to worship me, finding every inch of me. Her little groans into my flesh with my fingers. And I completely surrender to her without terror, without barriers, since I know she's here and she's staying rather than running. She whispers to me and licks my mouth when I scream her name. Like a prayer, I've got you, I've got you, I've got you. Then she collapses in my arms, gasping and trembling. After wrapping her in my arms, we lie there as I kiss her and wipe the tears from her cheeks. My fingertips follow the curvature of her back as her heartbeat steadies against my chest. As if we're frightened to let go, I lift her chin up and say, you ruined me, while she says something I can't hear. She rolls over and looks at him after saying, I'm smiling for anyone else good. The ceiling. What should we say to them now? Anything you want, I respond in a gentle voice. She agrees, and I'll tell them the reality that I don't need labels. I took far too long to confess that I had fallen in love with my best friend. Her phone buzzes on the nightstand, and she reaches for it. It makes a face after reading the screen. Oh no, what did Rebecca say about the picture? Stated at last, using around 7 exclamation points. And I burrowed my face in the pillow. She said, I was laughing too, and she presumably knew everyone did. You weren't surprised that I teased you all those evenings in my bed. I thought I was being subtle when you touched me, but you actually kissed my shoulder and whispered how soft I was. She throws a pillow at me and then dives back under the blanket, tackling me in a way that would have been subtle. She pins my wrists and says, Miss of laughter and limbs fine. I wasn't subtle, but I tell her that I was in love with you and that you didn't precisely stop me. I would have let. Her expression softens no matter what you do. And I still find it unbelievable that you waited for me. Worth the wait. She leans in to give me a slow, intense, and painful kiss this time. We go to sleep like that naked, exhausted wrapped thing, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making that up to you. The windows are open, the breeze cools, and they are wrapped about one another. Her leg hooked over mine, and her fingers threaded with mine. However, when we wake up in the morning, her hair is knotted and stretched across the warm bed. My chest, her lips mashed on my flesh as if she couldn't let go. Yawns, stretches, and draws me in close once more. I don't want to get up. So don't. You never miss class. I do it for you. She said, let's skip it and spend the entire day in bed. I moan and fall into her as she kisses my shoulder, neck, and jaw. You're dangerous. And I already know that we'll become dependent on this. Laugh. And the sound doesn't feel heavy for the first time in months. It feels liberating. Like something new. 3 months have passed since Lauren posted that. And 3 months have passed since she looked me in the eyes and declared that she was mine. Image and came out of hiding 3 months after the earth changed beneath my feet and I touched down for the first time. In those 3 months, I've watched her blossom, not all at once, but somewhere soft, like someone learning to breathe underwater and realizing she won't drown. She does it slowly and gracefully, without fear. Ultimately, she still experiences quiet, vulnerable times when worry begins to sneak in. When a guy from her former friend group says something dumb behind her. Or when someone gives us a second glance in a cafe. Occasionally her shoulders stiffen when we walk together. And occasionally her fingers clench around mine. She never lets go. She never pulls away. And I never stop even though people stare. Reminding her that she is secure with each look, kiss, and touch. We spend our days in stolen rays of brightness because she is so adored and sufficient. Coffee dates that develop into lengthy study sessions that culminate with weekend kisses. She's still Lauren, the one who dances barefoot on the couch while watching terrible movies and preparing worse snacks. Walkways, the person who constantly speaks through movies. The one who sings off key when she thinks I'm not listening. And kisses and apologizes. But she's also new and has become more open and grounded. One evening, as we lay in her bed, the lamp casts a gentle golden glow across. Her leg is draped over mine. Her fingertips stroking our skin as she curls up against me. Strange patterns in my stomach. You recall how she asked in a quiet voice the first time I stayed over? You were snoring by 200 a.m. that night. And I didn't get any sleep at all. She laughs. After that, why didn't you sleep? She's quiet for a while. And flicks my arm. I had never felt so near before. Yet I was afraid of how good it felt at that time. To anyone previously, I believed that if I allowed myself to have it, I would destroy everything. Change to face her. And now she's stroking my lips with her thumb. Even if I still get scared occasionally. I'm more afraid of losing you than of being. You won't lose me, she says as I bend in to give her a gentle kiss. Then puts her head nicely on my chest since I was thinking. Oh no, please stop talking. She chuckles before nudging me. And I was considering the possibility that we could spend a day or two at my parents' house the next weekend. She nods, her breath catching. I want them to know you as more than just my best. I blink quickly because my chest is so big. And I want my friend or the girl who supported me through everything to know you are mine. I've never been more certain about anything in my life than I am now. All of a sudden, later that week, when words are insufficient, give her another, deeper kiss, meets me with a foolish smile and 2 iced coffees after class. So I kind of informed everyone that we would be holding a game night this weekend. Which is kind of okay. Unfortunately, Lauren, you love me. I try to get one of the coffees. But I can't. The way she consistently puts me at the center of her world is what makes me smile. Not the game night. Publicly with pride. As if she finally feels deserving of my affection on Saturday. Arrives quickly. People fill our dorm room with music, laughter, and the scent of. Everyone is giddy with excitement as they eat microwave popcorn. And Rebecca is there too. Giving embraces. I grin. And for once it doesn't hurt. As she whispers, I'm so proud of her. Rebecca was correct all along. Lauren simply needed time. The last nail in the coffin comes when someone makes a joke. So, are you two acting like we don't exist anymore? Or are you two acting like we do? Understand everyone laughs. But Lauren puts her arm around me and doesn't laugh. The crowd falls silent as he declares. She's my girlfriend and I'm in love with her. A sigh, followed by a round of applause and a shout of, finally. I'm in love with her after hearing her voice resonating in my chest. That evening, after everyone has left, Lauren leans her head while we sit on the floor amid crumpled napkins and empty cups. That felt lovely, she adds aloud, on my shoulder. You make it simple to glow. We tidy up gradually while dancing around the mess. When she unintentionally knocks over a bowl of chips, she steals kisses and laughs. When the place is calm again, she takes me to bed and clings to me as if she's unwilling to let go. Do you ever consider? Regarding the future, she asks, tracing languid circles on my back with her fingers. Where do you picture us at this time? In a small flat. I close my eyes and smile. You're hugging the blankets I'm creating you with. And there are too many plants and bad Wi-Fi. Pancakes at midnight, possibly a cat. And she whispers, what about love? Large, the forever kind. I lift her chin and give her a slow, passionate kiss. Her eyes sparkle me too. And at that instant I felt all I've ever felt for her. I already have it with you. Despite every challenge, every agonizing stillness, and every night I spent, we were always supposed to end up here. And I'm wondering whether I'll ever be enough. Secretly, not confusedly, but here, collectively, with nothing to conceal, nothing to be afraid of. Just love loud and long. I am very grateful for your support through sharing, leaving a comment, liking, or emailing. You're wonderful. Thank you. You're the reason this channel exists. I'll see you in the next